Hello grade 5 and welcome to our new lesson which is representation of decimal numbers. This is session 1. Representation of decimal numbers is lesson 18 in our book which is page 117. In this lesson we have many objectives which are to identify decimal numbers, write a decimal number in the form of a fraction, recognize the digits of the decimal number and place any decimal number in the place value table. First of all, look at this number. Can you recognize the digits? What are the names of the digits? 3 is the ones, 7 is the tens, 6 is the hundreds, and after 3 digits we put a comma. Then starting with the second class, which is thousands, so 4 is the thousands and 2 is the 10,000s. So we review the digits of a whole number. Now let's read it together. This number is 24,673. Now look at these numbers. What is the difference in these numbers? We have some difference. Yes, it's the point. We have points. These numbers having points are called decimal numbers. What are the decimal numbers? Where do we see decimal numbers in our daily life? We see decimal numbers all around us. We see decimal numbers in the prices. We see decimal numbers in our length. And we see decimal numbers in the weights and more others. So, let's learn more about decimal numbers. What is a decimal number? A decimal number is a number that has a decimal point. A decimal number consists of two parts separated by a decimal point. The first part to the left of the decimal point is the whole part. The part to the right of the decimal point is the decimal part, and they are separated by a decimal point. If we want to represent the whole parts by a figure, as you can see, the whole part represents a big amount, a whole quantity, while the decimal parts represent the parts of a whole. So the decimal part is a small quantity. The decimal part is less than one whole. Okay, so this quantity is very small and represents a part of one whole. If I draw one here, one more, 42 represents a part of this one whole. 4, the first digit in the decimal part, it's 4 out of 10. It represents 4/10. 2, it represents 2 out of hundreds. So we call it 2/100th. As you can see here, the decimal part represents a very small amounts. They are a part of a whole, which is less than 1. Now, let's talk more about each digit in the decimal number. This is a decimal number. As you can see here, we have a decimal point. We said that the number to the left is the whole part, the big one. The number to the right is the decimal part, the small one. Let's name each digit. This one is the ones. 2 is the tens. 1 is the hundreds. And this one is the thousands. We have here decimal point. If we start with the first digit in the decimal part, it's called tenth. Tenth, why it's tenth? Because it represents an amount which is 7 out of 10. The second digit in the decimal part is the hundredth. Why? Because it represents 1 out of 100, a very small quantity. The third one, it's the thousandth. Why it's the thousandth? Because it represents 6 out of 1,000. A very, very small amount. And the last one, it's 10 thousandths. It's a very, very, very small amount. So we name it 4 of 10 thousandths. Why? Because it represents a quantity or an amount which is 4 out of 10 thousandths. So let's repeat. This is a decimal number. To the right, we have the decimal part. To the left, we have the whole part. Look, here it's tenth. We put the H. It's 7 out of 10. Here it's tens. It's 20. A big number. Tenth, a very small number. So the first digit to the right of the point is the tenth. Then we have hundredth, then thousandth, and then 10,000th. Now, let's talk more about the tenth. What is the tenth? We said that the first digit to the right of the decimal point is called the tenth digit. The tenth digit represents a fraction which is 1 over 10 as we took it in the previous lessons which are in the fractions. 1 over 10, it means the colored part is 1 out of 10. We read it as 1/10. It is represented as a decimal number which is 0.1. It's tenth, the first digit after the point. This one is 1/10. Now, what is the hundredth? Hundredth, as a fraction, it's 1 over 100. It represents a small quantity, 1 out of 100. It's 1/100th. We put the H to the number in the denominator. 1/100th it's represented as a decimal number as 0.01. This second digit after the decimal point is called the hundredth. This one is read as 1/100th. Now the thousandth. Similarly, the thousandth represents as a fraction 1 over 1,000. So it's read as 1,000th. If I want to write it as a decimal number, it's 0.001. This one is read as 1,000th. First digit, second digit, the third digit after the point, it's called thousandth digit. And the last one is the 10,000th. 10,000th mean 1 over 10,000th. Okay, so this is 10,000th. 1 over 10,000th. The 1, 2, 3, the fourth digit after the point is called the 10,000th. Why? The first digit is the 10th. The second one is the hundredth. The third is the thousandth. And this one is the 10,000th. Let's make an application. What does the digit 6 represent in each of the following numbers? Now let's look to each number. What does this 6 represent? This 6 represents the first digit in the decimal part, so it's the 10th. Look at this one. This one, this 6 is in the whole part. So this is ones, this is tens. Look at this 6 in the whole part. This is ones, tens, this is hundreds. Now look here. What does this 6 represent? It's in the decimal part. This is tenth, this is hundredth. Look here. What does this digit represent? This is in the decimal part. Let's review again. This is tenth, the first digit. The second digit is hundredth, and the first digit is thousandth. Now look at the last one. 6 is in the 10,000th place. Okay, now we want to learn how to write a decimal number in a place value chart. We want to place it correctly, in a correct way. Look at the place value chart. A place value chart here consists of a whole parts and the decimal parts, which are separated by a decimal point. Look, this is the decimal point. To the left, we have the whole part, which consists of the unit or the ones, tens, hundreds, then we have thousands, then millions, then billions. And in the decimal part, we have tenth, hundredth, thousandth, and sometimes we have 10,000th. Look here, the decimal numbers, this one and this one, are written in this table in this way. Let's know how to write a decimal number in a place value table. First step, we write the decimal point. Then we place each digit in its correct place. So, starting with the whole number, 5 is in the ones place, 1 is in the tens place, and 3 is in the hundreds place. So it's 315 point. And now let's place the decimal part. 3 is the tenth, then we have 0 in the hundredth, then the 0 in the thousandth, and the last digit, which is 1, in the 10,000th. Now let's take this number, which is 201.65. Let's place it in this place value chart. First step, we write the decimal point. Then we start with the whole part. It's 201. 201. Let's write the decimal part. It's 65. So it's 65 hundredth. By this, we finished our session. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.